There you go.
We
It's a
are
little bit of
on
revenge.
episode.
We are on once again. Welcome everybody who's passing by, seeing these two people uh, trying to talk like civilized people, civilized persons or humans, or I don't know. Um, Today we are on the sixth episode. I'm starting not to believe that we have been able to maintain this course. So we are thankful, and please share, watch it, give us a comment. We're trying to keep it up and get better at this. So any other episode, the reminder over here is that what we are doing is doing some conversations, talking about how to consume information, how to tackle things, simple things in life, how to react to the information that we consume, uh, with the purpose to be more prepared with the ongoing interactions that we have with people on social media or wherever so is, right? Uh, we're trying to bring some ideas, maybe methodologies, some tricks or something, so we can help us out to not have all these maybe unhealthy situation we have in society. And we believe that any voice is a good voice if it's tended to produce something for the community. With that said, we also try to make a disclaimer, right? Because we use articles that we read online, but we are not experts about the given topic necessarily. So we try to work around how the example that we are taking, how can that be applied to our day on day. So we sometimes might miss a detail, or we said a concept not the best way, and we will be appreciative if we get other opinions and or corrections on things. Also, sometimes because examples are infinite, we might miss to say some things, or we miss saying some examples, right? So, with that said, today's topic, I don't know if I can say it's going to be less political or deviate from past episodes that we have done, but we are going to address a little bit what seals the working conditions and leadership. But before we do, we get into that, we would like to share a couple of the things that we have read during the week, or maybe not even during the week, maybe a long time ago. But we think that is kind of interesting, fun, or whatever. So, as always, our little buddy over here bring us the discovery of a 95 million
95 million-year-old eagle shark. So the
eagle
name
shark.
kind of says it all, but it doesn't, because it's basically because it's used. I mean, I guess you can see it from the article. The picture of this shark was a shark with a very long. I mean, it looked like an eagle. That's why they called it an eagle shark. And I think it's kind of mind blowing the fact that we discovered the fossils of a 95 million-year-old shark, and
Okay.
just
And thank you for the nightmares.
sorry.
Thank you for the nightmares. This is gonna be
I mean,
and everybody. This is weird, but okay, that's good.
not old enough. Don't worry.
Okay, so and the second article that you brought us.
No, and it used to eat plankton, so not a big deal for
Oh
us.
no, not a big deal. Okay, so Patria y Vida. So
But
what's up with this?
you really like that, I guess. And well, Patria Vida is a song, okay,
Okay.
that kind of, I guess, rappers and I mean some singers made about Cuba, in which they try to bring up some topics about living in Cuba and all the problems that might come with the government they have in charge. And the article in here is curious because it brought up the dissidents of the government. So it brought up it upset the government a bit. So I think it's curious to see how a song, 4 minutes of people just singing, can mess up with the government. So in this case, of course, the communist government.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually interested about the fact that is rap.
Yes, it's a mix of
reggaeton at the same time. So I'm like, well, why? So I guess the rap part is because a lot of rap involves about social criticism and fighting the power, I guess. Because reggaeton, I don't know what power usually they fight, but it's not the government.
Well, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, generally, the topics they face,
they address,
they're not so social.
Yeah. Okay. So from my side, so I have. Yes, I'm happy. So it is actually a podcast that should we determine species through DNA. So this is again a little bit of geeky stuff as a biologist. So so you might know, and somehow we will know what taxonomy is. So it's the way that you classify animals, and usually they are distinguished by Latin-like names, right? Like Homo sapiens sapiens, right? Or Ursus actus or Puma concolor. So those are like distinctive official names of each of the species. And there has always been a debate and controversies over the years because sometimes because this is usually more about how does the animal look. Yeah, so you look at it, it has spots, it has this kind of characteristics, and then you say, boom, this belongs here.
So generally, it's very visual.
Yes, so yes, for the most. And obviously, since like a couple decades ago, all the genome coding and all that kind of stuff has become a big stuff, right? And it's about the debate is like if DNA alone should be the definer of a species. And it's kind of complicated because for the most, you will have a high percentage of similarities across species. Like, for example, if you type on Google and see like humans share 95% of DNA with humans. So mice and humans are like 99.5%, apparently, right? But there's more of a trick of that. There are reasons why the percentage is so high. So this is a very nice discussion. The next one, I'm gonna break a little bit one of my rules, which is not giving a lot of attention to certain things. One is this one, right? It's the anti-science movements and all this conspiracy kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna pass it up.
Broken, right?
What?
The rules are here to be broken. So
yeah, the thing is that I think we tend to use that as the rule. Yeah, and we have broken the rule so much that that's the rule. You know, that's a funny paradox. So you have all this situation, right? In addition, which is the last article, is this thing. Now, this is a documentary in Netflix, and the main point and why I've been a little bit hypocritical, maybe, or just paradoxical, I don't know, is about the fact that I usually don't like to give attention to this. Now, what I kind of like about this specific article is they actually spoil the meaning of the documentary and everything. So I will even say that this is more valuable just for the fact that you are saving me from going to Netflix and feed the algorithm that this is what everybody is interested about, right? But it's paradoxical because the fact that I am clicking on this means that I want to know about the topic, right? And it's, yeah, it's weird and a little bit unfortunate.
I think sometimes it's not necessary, but it's helpful to know a bit more about those theory and etc. Also to face them. I mean, and you have to know your, let's say, your enemy or whatever to
Sure.
more to face it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to know what the enemy is doing in order to tackle it. But I think we are at a point with this kind of stuff that this becomes more marketing for them. So it attracts more. So the funny thing is that between this one and this one is the signal that people are being recruited to all these kind of anti-science and conspiracy theories. But well, anyhow, so let's go back and let's settle down now on the last 20 minutes that we have over here. And let's talk a little bit about working conditions and that stuff, right? So, I mean, so working obviously is a big part of our society, and by working I mean whatever ends up giving you the opportunity to have the resources to have a life, yeah, to give you food, put food on the table, and give you a bed in the house, right? So I'm talking mostly about that. Let me give you 1 second because I cannot see you. So because this is something that is so important historically, there have been situations where other people will take advantage. That's why we have exploitation and yada yada, right? Now, one of the first questions is like, has this historically gotten better? If I were to compare this to 1,000 years ago, sure, yeah, we know the life expectancy and all that kind of stuff. But what would you say if I ask you, do you think working conditions have been getting better in the past 50 years? What would you say?
I think we are getting better.
In which way?
I mean, if we consider that 50 years ago, we were, well, wait, 50 years ago, it was right after the Second World War. So there was yeah, even a bit more. So it was around the decade of 60s, right? Well, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have the statistics here, but what to see, I think there is always more the awareness of the importance of being a condition at work that doesn't go against what is the basic rights of the workers. And I think the more we progress, let's say, the better we are getting. This doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of work that still has to be done, for sure. I mean, the more we're getting kind of monopolized from some companies, and the more it's important to respect some rights of the workers. But I don't know. In my view, this is more is more a feeling. It's more a feeling. I think we're getting better.
Yeah. So the overall looks like we're getting better, right? So
just a feeling. I mean, I don't know if the statistically is like that. But
so you pointed out pretty well right now. So maybe in the overall, working conditions have been getting better. Now, this is very important. It will depend from job of job. Yeah, the conditions from miners we don't know exactly. I have seen very amateur videos of people working on those places, and my gosh, those conditions do not look healthy. But there might be other places where you might have more progress. For example, in the very pilot episode that we did, we talked about certain quotas in the workforce, and that has been getting better. And we need to understand that there is no way that everything will be perfect. Another thing that we need to consider is that this will depend on how the global economy is constructed, right? And from that point of view, from how the economy is constructed, as far as I have understood, back in the 80s, a lot of the policy changed. Before there was a little bit more, at least in the Americas, approach of the you work for your well-being, and the work was for the people, not in a very still capitalism and whatever, but still more focused into that perspective. But since the 80s, there has been a prioritization for profit of the people, and that has become like a kind of damaging system for the population, right? I can speak a little bit from experience on two realms. One is in teaching, because I have the privilege of giving classes, even if you don't believe it, from kindergarten all the way to high school. Yeah.
You?
Yes. I was an amazing influence as a kindergarten teacher. No, I was not. So there, I noticed the difference between working from institution to institution, even depending on the geographic place of the institution. You will have different conditions. Unfortunately, some of those conditions tend to be not ideal, right? Maybe because you don't have the infrastructure, or you have a policy of pushing more work every single time. With a very good friend of mine, we have this conversation in the other realm, in academia, right? Academia tends to be a type of job where you work with infinite resources. Why? Because it's about producing knowledge. So you will never finish, right? And unfortunately, that pushes to a level of stress that has been already discussed, and this is actually a little bit of the inspiration of the episode. Like, you have people under so much unnecessary stress. That doesn't mean that they are having the worst conditions. No, because I cannot compare academia to medics, right? So, but at the end, the conditions should not be that harmful, right? And that takes me a little bit into the what good ideas can be consolidated for a good working environment. We could start from the fact that how do we value our work? How are we going to be getting paid, right? So I'm going to overcomplicate here everything. Yeah, I'm going to attempt to do something. And hopefully we don't even get a strike. It's a 2-minute piece.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if we will be able to hear it. No, well, I mean, I will go ahead and share it. Is that part later on? Share it in the links. It's a very nice talk. The one about a guy that talks about why you shouldn't be paid by the hour, right? That can devalue your job. I mean, I think that's applicable to certain
just for me, because I haven't heard that talk, and I guess also the people connected to what we are saying. What do they say? Like, real quick, in these 2 minutes, what's the message that they give?
It's mostly about like paying by the hour is pretty incorrect. We're talking about marketers and graphic designers. That's the specific type of people. So the talk is about how much would you pay for a logo, Yeah.
Okay.
And someone says like, okay, my working ratio is the X amount of euros per hour. So in the presenter, that's the one, the questions, right? It's like, so you value more time. Yeah. So if you value more time, that means that I can take longer. So then you need to pay me more.
Mm.
Yeah. But then it's harder to justify why you're taking so much time. Now, if you're willing to pay me, if you value time and in terms of I want this as fast as possible, I'll pay you more. You don't know if you're getting a very quality product. So a little bit of the solution at the end is having certain parameters well placed that will value more the skill and the end up product. Yeah. So that's what it should matter at the end. So
that's the main point. Skills and the results against, let's say, timing.
mm-hmm.
So time. Okay.
Yeah. So and well, actually, I would like just to give us a little bit of perspective because as far as I know, you work a little bit on marketing or stuff like that. So, for example, how is your working environment?
So in my case, we are very, let's say, default idea. So a default format, we get paid by the time we are working. So define salary, no matter the projects you have, and get paid based on that. So if I have to relate to what we are saying right now, I think in many cases it can be applied the idea of being paid by project. I don't know, for example, so I have different projects and you get paid based on how many projects you finish and based on the results. And of course, I think also the timing must be valued, but not the time you work, but the time in which you finish the project. But I think it really needs a very more wider view because you cannot have like hundreds of projects every day. There will be, for sure, I think, as you said, in academia, you have infinite resources, right? Because you have knowledge. So you can keep working at the same high percentage, at a high rate every day. While with other works, perhaps you will have some period of time where the projects or what you have to do are perhaps taking less stressful, they need less involvement and etc. So I think really needs to be taken to a higher level of conversation and to a wider view. But yeah, in my case, we are paid by hour. But I can bring another example in which is not marketers. It's, for example, carpenter, and they, for those I know, they don't get paid by the time they need to finish the work. But for example, about the meters of the house they are building, for example.
So you have nailed part of something I wanted to brought up, which is if we pay attention at the end, it's about the parameters that the productivity is measured, right? Again, in the pilot episode, we talk about this, right? Like, how are you going to say that diversity was in that time? How are you going to say that diversity is going to actually be better for a company? Well, you need to have your parameters well defined, right? And that is the one that is going to tell you, yes, we can move forward in that direction, or we need to pedal back or restructure or something, right? In this case, sure, once again, we cannot, it's complicated because if we think about jobs, immediately we are thinking about what do I do for living, right? I'm not thinking about how how an accountant job looks like. What? Because I'm ignorant in that area, right? You are giving us your experience in your area. So every single position needs to have like these parameters, and also the company needs to be well composed to know what they want and how they want to accomplish it.
That's the main issue. In my opinion, that's the main issue. Parameter is
yeah.
that.
So going, for example, again into the academia part, yeah, you also kind of nail it. Is like suddenly they can start grasping left and right for new ideas, and then the main reason you were hired for can be compromised. Suddenly you are just contracted by 1 year and a half. Yeah. So this apparently, for what I have seen, is they see this 1 year and a half as an unlimited resource to put someone to work, and by work I mean I have received emails at 10 p.m. from my former bosses. So it's like people who are working all the time. Yeah. And it's kind of sad because this thing about replying to emails very late at night has been an unfortunate habit that we have acquired with online technologies, and especially nowadays with a lot of people working from home. So with this, I actually want to deviate again, not deviate, but go to the last part of the things that I would like to talk, which is like, if we are going to take charge of how we are going to create a good environment, a good working environment, how should we address address ourselves as, let's put it this way, we are our own CEOs or ourselves. So how we're going to address ourselves, how we're going to present our own worth. That's one. And also, if we ever get the chance to be in a leadership position, how we want to be, what kind of practices do we want to have. I want to say a little bit the part about all this working environment thing. I don't want to be taken as, oh, the employee needs this and needs that and comfort and hours, because I also feel that certain policies are getting to a point where you are softening people a lot. Yeah. Has to be this strange balance where you have to put the person in kind of survival mode so they can hard work. Yeah. It's a very unfriendly concept, but I think it is needed. So sure, as a leader, I think you should push for hard work, but at the same time, we need to be aware of how to identify burnout. Yeah. I
don't know about this, just before going on to the topic about that survival idea. I think, in my opinion, it's not about the survival. Like, if you don't, so let's keep this example, the survival mode. So you have to be sometimes in that survival mode at work. So you have to work hard, etc., etc. Of course, there are some cases in which you have to produce more and be faster and more efficient and effective, etc. But I think if we are speaking about a leader, what is more, what takes more an employee to work harder and faster and be more effective is the award. So it's not thinking of I have to do that unless, and if I don't do that, I'm not surviving. It's more like,
okay,
if I do that, I will be awarded, and put it in some competition, some constructive competition between employees and etc. So I don't know, this idea of having to survive in a certain work, I'm not sure that as a leader could be
the appropriate approach. Okay, so maybe it's not the right concept, right? No, maybe that was not the right concept, but I think, at least from my point of view, is like not going to the softness, yeah, like feed spooning the person, and obviously not burning out the individual. So yeah, sure, you I think you're correct here. Like the word is not surviving, right? So yeah, so at the end, just for my closing argument over here, so at the end it's the yeah, as a leader, uh, as a leader of ourselves, and if we were in a position of leadership within a job, we need to be careful. How are we going to measure success or productivity, and how at the same time how are we going to be playing with providing well-being to whoever is working for us, and at the same time doing the hard work, right? So I'll do that as the most specific part is how to have all those two in balance, but always be very careful how we need to measure productivity. I will go with partially with that because it's time.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. And the only thing I would say is that we have been working on, we have been talking about the working condition and what to do to be a leader and how to master the effectiveness and the skills and the results you have. This can be applied also to daily life. I mean, we have been speaking about work, but let's try to apply it also in daily life.
Yeah, like we just said, we are our own CEOs.
Yes, exactly. In our daily life. So
okay,
yeah.
So thank you very much. Hope this. I think there are a lot of things that we are missing here, and we can go for 1 more hour.
It's enormous. It's a giant.
Yeah,
topic.
Every topic is enormous. So we are thankful for your eyes or ears, and hopefully you give us some experiences of yours on, or like how, where do you work, or how your working conditions. What do you think it would be better in this is too much pressure, and where do you also think I think we should push harder in this direction? Yeah. So with that said,
we were on,
and until next one, bye bye.
See you. Bye.